Hi guys, welcome back to another video with me, Sam Hair. I'm so excited for the video today. It is so different, very new. It is using this. It's the Keratin Bonder Pro, and it is a totally new to me tool. We have been using something very similar in the salon, but it was kind of just like a homemade thing. So I'm excited to try this and see how it compares, how it's going to speed up those retipping processes and everything in between. If you're new here, my name is Sam and I am a hair extension educator as well as stylist. As an educator, I have taught for the likes of Bellamy. I also work really closely with other brands now, such as Covey. In the past, I have helped with product development of extensions and coming up with colors, coming up with different keratins, all the different things that goes into manufacturing those extensions. I also have come out with my own hair extension education, which I have been teaching for the past year and a half, I want to say, and it has been so fun for me because it is education that is totally catered towards you. And my education is a mixture of in-person and online. So if you do want to come to an in-person class, if you like my content, I have a class coming up. It's in February and it is in Costa Mesa, and it's going to be a weft class. I also have another one in March that is a keratin class, and both of them are actually being hosted at Covey headquarters. So if you've always wanted to try Covey hair, check out their headquarters, all the things, then my classes will actually be there, which is really exciting. And I'm actually one of the first people to teach a class there as well, which is so special to me. I also own a very successful hair salon in Los Angeles. It's called Extensionist LA, and that's where you can find me 5 days a week. Tuesday to Saturday, I'm grinding it out, putting in those extensions. So everything that I'm teaching you truly does come from my own personal experience, because I think that's really important with education. It's important that you are learning from an educator that is giving you real life feedback on products that they are installing day in, day out. So without further ado, let's get into this video and this Keratin Bonder Pro. Hi Samantha, I'm so excited to give you the Keratin Bonder kit and truly appreciate you taking the time to try it out and share your experience. Okay, let's give it a try. So this is from Ashley. Her Instagram is @thatblondestylist, and she was kind enough to give me this. So let's play around with it and see what it's all about and if it's actually going to speed up some time. So this is, I'm guessing this is what the straightener was in. We kind of unboxed it a little bit already at the salon, but that's the straightener. You can see how skinny it is. So you put that keratin directly onto there. As do we have all these boards. It's magnetic. So then you put your hair on there and then it's magnetic. Cutters. I bought my own cutters as well because I do like the cutters are a little bit longer. These ones, I assume that they would be shorter, which they are. They're not bad, but I do prefer a longer one when I'm cutting the width of that extension. So I did bring my own. Okay, so these are all the keratin sticks, all the different colors: clear, blonde, dark brown, or like a medium brown, black, and then I think that's a dark brown. And then we've got these combs I see people use while the bond is still wet. You can separate them with this and you can make it a standard or a micro, or I guess that's even bigger than that. Yeah, so an even bigger one with that. So we'll play around, we'll see what works best, we'll see what is working, what's not working. And then this is some more of these boards. These are good to have because then you can kind of like prep a few of them at a time and then they're ready to go. So these are those boards. So it came with 3 of those, super handy. Oh, we have a fan. So this is good for the fumes so that the fumes don't get in your face. It fans all of those fumes away. So it's like a little plug-in fan. Oh, and there's a light. Very good. Oh, there's different settings. I probably won't use that. I do have a fume extractor at the salon, which extracts the fumes. That's for like keratin treatments. So I reckon if anything, I would use that more. But I think that's everything. right, you guys, so let's get into this machine and let's play around with it a little bit. It is so fun to play around with new tools, and I'm always open to that. I think it's so important that you keep learning, especially in that hair extension space, because there's always new methods, new techniques, so much new technology coming out. So it's important that we keep up to date with it, and then we can decide if it's going to work for us or if it's not going to work for our business. Retipping is so niche. However, you can incorporate it into your business. I do find though that when you are retipping and if you are choosing to retip, you definitely want to price it out where you are still making money and you're charging for that labor of retipping the hair extensions. In some cases, your client will end up saving money because that hair might have been really expensive initially. So then by you retipping it, they might end up saving a little bit of money. But then in some cases where the labor is so much, sometimes you're kind of like breaking even. So it just makes sense to get new hair. And that all comes down to what hair you're using as well. Russian hair is obviously going to be more expensive than Asian hair. So something to bear in mind if you're choosing to do this retipping service. I definitely think that this machine makes it quicker, but you have to get to grips with it, right? So I went in initially and used this Volume Genius weft, and it is really thick. So you have to make sure that you're fully saturating and that when you are working with that keratin, it can get sticky, it can get a little bit messy. So you're finding ways to make it work for you. So I liked it, I enjoyed it. I definitely do think it's quicker because you can do big pieces at a time. But for sure, it's something that you have to keep playing around with and, time yourself and see that you are making the most out of your time. But once I had bonded that, the nice thing is all you have to do is just cut off that excess at the top and then just cut it down into the pieces and the sizes that you like. And then now what I'm going to talk about is the ideal extensions that you want to be rebonding and why. Because I did feel like this, where it was quite thick, it was a little bit difficult to saturate that keratin. Nice. I want to show you guys something that I noticed. So I've been re-tipping K-tips and like creating K-tips for a long time. So it's something that I, struggled with at the start. And now I'm able to troubleshoot it straight away because I know what I'm looking for. So immediately after bonding these, I said it's not saturated enough because the weft was too thick. And I could see that because it has a split in the middle where that keratin hasn't saturated enough. So what happens is when that keratin can't saturate fully and coat every single strand, what you're going to happen is, look at all of that shed. So if you were to go and put that in a client's hair, it's going to shed a lot because there's not enough keratin coated on that tip. Not a big deal. I knew that that would happen because I know that Volume Genius wefts are a lot thicker and denser, but I was just playing around with the machine. So if that happened in real life, what I would do is I would want to spread that hair a little bit more to make sure that that keratin can coat every strand of hair. So what I would advise working with, as opposed to a Volume Genius or a Flex weft or a Volume weft, those traditional thicker, denser wefts, work with something like a Genius weft or even a tape-in because they have finer strands. However, if you wanted to do it, what I would say is make sure that you're really flattening everything out, spreading that hair out so that it's not as dense, and then it's going to coat every single strand. All right, now I have some traditional Genius wefts. So I'm going to show you the difference between working with a Genius versus working with a Volume Genius weft, and you'll see that it's a little bit easier to get that full saturation. So let me open this up. So with these wefts, I'm doing exactly what I did with the Volume Genius, but because they are thinner, you don't have to be as conscious about whether you're saturating it or not. Because they are thinner, it is a lot easier to make sure that keratin is spreading all the way through. So I'm doing the same thing as before, where I'm measuring it up to the board, clamping it down, and then cutting off that excess weft. And then here I'm just combing through to make sure that there's no little short hairs in there. And then I am putting those keratins
onto that heating tool. This honestly is just like a really skinny flat iron, and then you can see it is gliding on. I think also that was part of the problem the first time, where I was having more difficulty because that weft was so thick. So because this is thinner, I did feel that like it was a lot easier to just go in and glide that keratin across, and I only had to do a few strokes. Honestly, you probably could have just done two really good ones and you would have been good to go. Then I'm taking it out of that board and I'm just going to cut off the top ever so slightly. I do feel like it looks really, really, really perfect. And again, I think that's just down to the type of wefting that I was using, because it is finer, it's easier to work with. I would find that it would be the same way if you were to opt in to work with a tape and extension as well.
So I also have these. These are from Hair Made Easy. These are the keratin strips. So I want to try these on the straightener and see if they're a little bit easier to work with than the little tubes that it comes with. I feel like these would be the perfect width with the straightener. So let's cut it off. I'll measure it to size and we can give it a go. Prep everything the same way as before.
All right, so now you're going to start to see what I said at the start of this video and how it makes sense. Because even though we are not charging our clients for new hair, we're still going to have to charge for that retipping service, because you can see how labor intensive this is and how it just wouldn't make sense to do it with that client sat in the chair. You would either have to hire someone to do this retipping for you, or you would have to have them come in for a removal and then retip, and then they can come in on a separate day to have them reinstalled. If this is something that you would want to build into your business, then definitely think about hiring someone purely to just retip, or having an assistant do it. I feel like that's how it would make sense for me. And you know, when you are retipping, you're going to be charging them for the labor. So what I recommend, and what I know other people charge, it is $150 per 100 grams to retip. It definitely takes a skill to do this as well. So it will take practice, it will take time, but then once you do it, you're going to find your flow with it, and you'll be able to retip the extensions quicker and quicker and quicker every single time. And again, having this machine is there to make the most out of your time and make that retipping process quicker. I do think it's quicker, I really do, because you are doing strips at a time as opposed to an individual bond at a time.
No one wants a grimy looking keratin tool, so let me show you how to clean it. Make sure it's still hot. Paper towel or a terry cloth, and you're just gonna swipe onto that. Look, comes off nice and clean. And I'm just gonna wipe here as well, because I do not want a messy tool. There we go. Perfect. I hope that was helpful. I feel like once you start using this machine more, it definitely will speed up that retipping process. You just have to kind of like get to grips with everything, make sure that a lot of it is prepped beforehand, and then you could have a few of you doing it. So one of you is loading up the boards with the hair, cutting off the spine of the weft or the old keratin tip, and then the other one is prepping all of the keratin on here and then just going in and swiping it, and then you can have someone else that's there just cutting it. What I usually do is when I'll do something similar, I'll have all the bands and then I'll just lie them out ready for the install, and then as I'm going you can cut it, because then you can decide how big or small you want the bonds, or I'll have someone there a lot of the time that will cut them for me as I'm working, so that I can make sure that I'm properly density matching. But yeah, I'm going to continue to play around with this machine, and I will let you guys know any updates, anything I found that would be really helpful. But it is again from that blonde stylist, and I'm going to link it down below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what video that you'd like me to see next, and maybe I should do a video where I'm installing some of these bonds as well, and then that way you could see what it would look like for, and that way you could see what it would look like as a handmade bond versus a factory bond. All right guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.